Hailing all the way from the UK, this musical tyrant has been breaking barriers in the music game for almost 30 years and has not let his foot off the pedal ever since he started. He's had all of your favorites on the Billboard charts, not to mention a long list of awards and accolades to prove it. Ladies and gentlemen, some of y'all may know him as Harmony Samuels, but others in the industry know him as H-Money!
Different week, different topic. It's a vibe every time. Hey, come get you a taste that Creators Buffet. Can you guess who's invited? Different week, different topic. Creators Buffet.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got H-Money in the building.
What's going on?
What's up, my guy? How you been, man?
Bust the bliss. As
Yo.
we say back home, bust the bliss.
Bless the place. See,
Yeah.
I can't do that accent, man. It's a lot I can do, but I can't do yours, man. That UK.
It's funny because the UK accent, there's so many different places in the UK, right? That we're so cultural, our accents change anyway. Because I can go from Jamaican to African, from African to like Cockney London, and then I can be American all in the same day.
Let's go. Give me some.
All right.
Jamaican, let's go.
Wham to your dog. You bless? Everything all right?
Everything good, man. You know,
Bless
just
up,
moving and
bless up.
grooving.
Because you know where we come from?
Where we come?
We come from the motherland.
The motherland.
But you know, sometimes you might roam into London and, you know, catch a few sights and stuff. But you know, I'm out here in LA with y'all niggas. What's going on?
Yo, oh my God. My guy is here from the motherland. We are here on Creators Buffet. We are live and lit with Harmony.
You know what I mean? So I be confused with people's like, is he British? Is he American? Is he African? What the hell is he? I'm human.
Hey, that part, man. My guy, man. Yo, Happy New Year, because I have not seen you all year.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year, sir.
How's the New Year been, man?
I feel like I'm 6 months in.
6 months. Yeah. Talk about that work. 6 months?
6 months in, bro. I mean, 2023 started 6 months ago for me because I had to kind of like, you know, get in gear and get ahead of the curve. So for me, it was important that, you know, I started before the year actually started.
Facts.
And get things in motion. So yeah, that's what I did, my dog. So it's been great, man. A lot of things I worked hard for that I put in place. I didn't expect to move as fast. It's moving fast, and a lot of things is changing. But I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful to be alive. You know what I mean? And grateful to see another year period.
1000%, man. I love that. That was great. And that's what my show is about, man. It's like a lot of times it's like, yes, you're a super producer. That's who you are. Yeah. But a lot of times that's all people see. That's all they know.
Yeah,
Me
right.
here on Creators Buffet, we got to get into the mental.
Listen, let's get into the mental, my brother.
Yes, sir. Speaking of that, how's your mental right now today in this space? How you feel?
Man, like I said, I'm grateful to be alive because the last 4 years, the mental was very difficult to deal with, you know what I mean? Especially for me, because, you know, you got this British black boy with, you know, diverse cultures and whatever, moved to America in 2010, and within 18 months, my life went from nobody knowing to me to everybody calling me, from Chris Brown to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, everybody, Brandy, like, everybody's on my phone, everybody's ringing my phone, come to my studio. And then you have this, like, I had this like 4, 5, 6 year run, right? It was just like, and it was just like explosive. And then I hit, and then I had this kind of like, okay, cool. I'm in this good little, like, I'm just vibing, cause you know, and then I hit a wall. And I hit a wall cause I was tired, exhausted. I was mentally fried.
Wow.
I'd put in so many hours, and then I wasn't enjoying it no more. Like, I wasn't enjoying going to the studio. I wasn't enjoying making music, and I definitely wasn't enjoying being around people.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely tap in on that one right there.
Yeah.
So speaking about what you just said, a question I have for you is, what drives you so hard to something that's not even guaranteed?
You see, the thing about driving, I was never concerned about the win.
Ooh.
It was never about the win, because no matter how much you win, you're always going to want something else to win, right? You get a car today, and then 6 months later, you want a new car. So it was never about the win for me. What I had to figure out was my why, and my why was to really like touch people. Like I really wanted
Wow.
to see my music affect and touch people. Like music saved me. Like I could have been. I was definitely around hood shit. I was definitely raised around hood shit.
Yeah.
And gangster shit was always around. And music and the church saved me. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, they work synonymously because the only place I could do music was church because my parents were so strict, and the only place like music was kind of like free to me was in church.
Church,
so,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I was always listening to music, but that's where I could express music without. You know,
So how were you able to separate the street life with the church? Like, what was in back of your head to like, no, I have to stay right here?
nigga, I'll never forget one particular day my teacher told my dad. I remember it was like, he just looked at my dad and was like, yo, your son gonna end up in jail or dead before he's 18 years old.
Wow.
And I remember I'm like 13, I'm holding my dad's head. Like, and I just looked at the teacher like, damn, for real, bro? Like, I'm gonna end up dead or in jail before, you know what I mean?
Like, I'm right here.
Right. And then about 6-7 months later, I had a car accident and I died in the car accident. Car hit me going 60 plus miles an hour and I died on the spot. And I had a spiritual encounter, and I don't care who you are, you can't tell me I don't know who God is, because I heard his voice clearly. So like I literally heard his voice say, "One time, it's not your time." And then I woke up at the scene confused at what's going on, because everybody, so that stuck with me forever. So it was always my mission to kind of like stick to the thing that was gonna keep me, you know what I mean, safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And once I knew that I had that spiritual experience, I knew there was more to life.
Right.
And so it didn't really matter how many Billboard #1s I had, whether I had them or not. I just wanted my music to impact. Like I wanted people to be able to go through my songs and be like, that changed my life. That touched my life.
Yeah.
That affected my life. That made me feel a way. That made me feel like, thank you. And I get so many messages because, you know, songs I did that were great, really were great because they were great, not because they were just songs on the Billboard charts, right?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
This Is Why I Love You, Say Yes was one of the biggest gospel songs of the time. I mean, Ariana Grande, The Way. I didn't even think that record was going to do
I saw that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that record was like, you know, all the parents were like, I feel so glad that you made this record because my children can listen to it. Like, I don't feel crazy that my kids listen to Ariana Grande.
Wow.
And it was just like, I was like, oh, damn. So I made cool music that was PG. That's great. Like,
Yeah, you thinking way down the line.
I'm thinking, wait, so you know what I mean? So for me, all I was ever concerned about was impacting and bridging cultures.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, one of the biggest problems, I felt like the world was very separated before the internet. Like, you talk 2008, 9, 10, it was separated. Like, Americans weren't fooling with British people weren't fooling with Americans.
Yeah.
You didn't even know that a Brit was in a movie half the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying? It's
accent-
like,
and they can switch it up too.
no,
with
you
the
know,
accents.
I told you we could switch it up. So,
Yeah.
and then, you know, there was big separation with Africans. And me being Nigerian, British, and living in America, I just had all of those cultures within me. So my job was to kind of bridge all those gaps, and
Wow.
music was my tool.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know they've been trying to do that for a while, and I remember when I was hosting, I think I met you then.
Yeah.
When I was at Dream Magic Studios. Yeah, with Namdi.
Namdi, yeah.
So they were trying to bridge the gap because I had my show Video Vault where they wanted like 5 Nigerian artists and the American artists to bridge the gap. Has it? I don't think it's even still like.
No, it's there. It's there,
there
now.
now?
And credits to, you know, people allowing people like myself to come into the culture, you know, American culture, and teach and show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chris Brown has done an incredible job, you know,
Facts.
bridging that gap. Drake has done an incredible job culturally bridging that gap and
Big facts.
opening our minds up to receiving other people's cultures. And that was always a job. Like, you know, one of the biggest female Afrobeat artists, her name is Tiwa. She lived in LA. She lived in LA for a very long time as a songwriter. We met in LA. And Tiwa, I remember she really wanted to be an artist, and she wanted to be, and they wouldn't let her be one.
Not here.
Not here.
She had to go back.
So she ended up calling me and goes, "I'm going to Africa." I was like, "For what?" And she said, "I'm going to go be an artist." I was like, it's hard out there. She was like, there's too much going on here. I need to go where I have an opportunity and there's a chance for me to make it.
And you can't be there. So if she got you, she's able to bridge the gap, bridge the sounds.
That's what we did. And so gave birth to, she started breaking as an artist, then became one of the biggest African artists in the world. Now she's up there with every one of them.
Wow.
Even the ones she looked up to, like Brandy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like all the guys that she looked up to, now she's their peers. Like they're like, Tiwa, we love you. Come work with us. Come, you know what I mean? So yeah, even, Rotimi is another guy I worked with who, we deliberately was bridging out in my bed, like we're deliberately bridging the gap between cultures because there is this underlying thing where we don't understand each other and we don't understand language. We're the same, but we're not. And the fact of the matter is, once we start having that conversation, we realize we really are the same and we all came from the same place. You know what I mean? And so that's been my goal. I ain't a preacher.
Hey, but you preach it. It's the experience, man. That's what people don't realize. You've experienced so much to where you're able to now drop that now for the next generation.
Yeah.
Even with those gems, what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned along the way?
Well, the huge lesson I've learned along the way is no one's perfect. No one's perfect. And in our imperfection, we just gotta love each other through it all. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And no matter how much money you got, and no matter how poor you are, you're still human. And the craziest part is, we give all this value to money and we give all this value to these things, and then you die, and then these things are just here. And one of the things that I'm trying to instill in, the young people I'm mentoring and the people I'm grooming up for their own success is, don't just do this for the money and for the fame, because that goes away, right?
Facts.
Make sure you're doing this where you have impact, legacy, and the word legacy doesn't come from buying 50 estates and leaving it for your kids, because they could throw that away, right? Them kids could grow up and be like, oh, we ain't got to do shit, and burn that away. Legacy is being able to leave Martin Luther King was not a rich man, but he left us. He wasn't. He left us legacy.
Facts.
Like, we still celebrate him to the day. Legacy is making an impact that everybody across the globe can utilize it in their own personal lives. That's true legacy.
I love the fact of how you said, like, no matter how rich you are, how poor you are, it's like, you're human, you're not perfect, and it puts you in that space. For those that you mentor, how do you pick yourself up on your hardest days?
Well, I thank God for my parents raising me up in the church, but it's funny because this is going to get real deep.
Let's go.
The church was a place, a safe haven for a period of time, but then it became toxic for a period of time. And when it was a safe haven, it was because there was as a child, there was a lot of innocence. So you're not really involved in the ingoings, the outgoings of the church, right? You're just a kid. You're just there. You hear the music, especially someone like me, I'm drawn to it. You have these emotions and you start to kind of like depict like, okay, this God thing is cool. Like, I like it. It's beautiful. And then you start having the church experience where they put control and religion over culture, right? And it can be very difficult for you as a human being that's raised up in the church to deal with religion, control, and culture. Like, all three is dangerous at the same time.
That's a fact, bro.
Right? And it's frustrating because the control part is your parents wanting to control you. Like, I had very controlling parents who wanted, I used to have bag checks leaving to go to school. That's how crazy it was. Like,
wow,
Mom, about to leave. Dad be like, hey,
let me check your bag.
Let me check your bag.
Damn.
That's how disciplined they were. And we was in church Monday to Sunday. Like, we was in church every other day. So to some degree it was cool. But then when I got old enough, my life in a nutshell we grew up in the hood. I went to a Catholic white school. So I was like the only 3 of 4 black boys in there. And And we'd go to church, and then on my way from church, I'll be on like, we had public buses, right? Red buses. And I would stop off at the homies and be doing what the street shit we was doing in the street.
What you do, right?
And then get home but just before curfew. And that was my life for right? And then as I got older, I got kind of like confused because a lot of the church wasn't helping me, was messing me up.
Wow.
Right? And culture was hurt. Look, culture was already harming. This is like culture does its damage anyway.
Yeah.
But then I was conflicted because there was things that the church didn't make sense. Like things didn't make sense. Things they would say about God didn't make sense. Things that would say about life and your decision making didn't make sense. And it was just like, it's God I'm serving.
And they was so like, I play the drums in Kojic church, so it's like,
oh, so you don't?
I know, but it's so funny. I've never had this conversation in life. I've had it, but not at this level. When you say control, because I never forget a church I played for. They said, "Cool, when you come to church, you have to start wearing a tie." And I'm like, "Why?" Like it's just fly. Your shirt has to be tucked in. Like you can't wear jeans or you can't wear this. I can't be fly and still, representing God. So if I die right now, is God gonna be like, I don't like this coat?
You wore a tie.
Yeah, you wore a tie. You ain't coming. Like you can't do that.
Yeah, the lines get blurred between religion and God. Like, and that's human decisions. God always just said, "Come as you are."
Yeah.
The church. That's what I said. The church has done as much damage.
And that's when I switched to the non-denominational churches. I was in there jamming. I can go in there with a flat jacket on, like I can do my thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because even non-denominational. I went to all kind. I went to Born Again. I went to Celestial. I went to Kojic.
Yeah.
I did it all. You know what I mean? And I still was in the hood with the boys. So I got best of both worlds, right? And like I said, I went to a racist school, and I like.
Damn.
For me, what I learned through it all was God, you have to learn God's voice for yourself, right? You can't sit around and expect this man on the pulpit to tell you how to have a relationship with God. He can give you guidelines. He can tell you experiences. He can give you, truths about stories in the Bible, but evidently it's your relationship with God, and the only way to have that is by going to have one, right? Yeah. People don't know a relationship with God has been, like I said, the PR around God and just having a relationship with God has been so bad from the church that we forgot. I remember when I had real conversations with God. God was like, look at me like you look at your dad. And look at me like, if something goes wrong, what am I going to do? What would your dad do? If you're sick, what would your dad do? If you never spoke to your dad for 7 years, would you say you had a relationship with your dad? No. So if you don't talk to me at all for 7 years, you can't have a relationship with me as God.
That's crazy. And
so when I started to learn, like, I got to talk to him more like a father instead of talking to him like a God, then I started to have a real relationship. So now prayer wasn't hard because it wasn't me praying to God. It was me talking to my dad.
Your dad, my homie,
father,
my best friend. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because there's days like, and people gonna watch this like, I'd be like, God, I can't take this bullshit. This is some bullshit. Fuck this nigga. Like, I will go off. And maybe people will be like, how can you talk to God that way? He's my father. Woo! He already knows what I'm thinking. I might as well come as I am, right? So what we do is the church controls us to this, but they control because of fear.
Yeah.
Because we're afraid, do you know what I mean? If we teach people to stand on their own 2 feet, they won't need us no more. Woo. Think about if the church made everybody whole. We might not have churches no more.
That's a fact, bro.
Then there might not be no money for the time enough of that.
They ain't gonna be in them Cadillacs.
I say that to say we have to all learn God's voice.
Yeah.
And how he talks to you is very different from me. So going back to how I keep my mind healthy is talking to him. just really having silent moments with him and being vulnerable. Like,
Wow.
you know, we go to therapists to tell them, we go to these strangers to tell them the deepest, darkest secrets, but yet we won't tell a person who is invisible in our room. We can feel him, we can't see him,
All the
but
time.
we won't tell him. We consciously tell ourselves, you can't tell him, because
Wow.
the church has told us that he's made him look like he's ashamed of us. When he's not. He really wants, like, another analogy he said, if you did something wrong, or you was going to jail or something, and you didn't tell your dad, and something bad happened, and you finally tell him, what do you think he's gonna say? Why didn't you tell me?
Why didn't you tell me?
I could have helped you.
Yeah.
I could have saved you. Why would you wait till the last minute? Why would you wait till things fall apart? Why didn't you just talk to me? And so it was until I started. So I was like, damn, I really gotta just go to him straight up and down, good, bad, or ugly.
Wow. I've never thought about it in that way of like, why are you cussing? Why are you saying this? God already knows what I'm thinking in this very moment. So why not be myself?
Because he loves you more for that. Because that means you're having a real relationship with him. Like, you see, we try to do this thing where we go to God on some like, thou art worthy, and like, I might like, look, man, he already knows you jacking off. He already knows you sexing. He already knows you're doing what you're doing. Don't try to clean your hands now when you're gonna go talk to him.
Yo, when I say my guy is preaching right now.
I'm just saying, I had to learn that though, because I suffered those things. I suffered that I gotta pretend, I gotta hide. I was a performer, bro. Like, my whole life was a performance. For the longest time, I was codependently performing every day to keep everybody happy. There are so many things in my life that I had to unlearn turning 40. Like, it scared the shit out of me. So imagine living your life for 40 years and realizing everything you thought you knew wasn't real. Or you thought, you've been programmed to think in such a way, and you realize, I gotta unlearn everything else for this next 40, because everything I got taught was from a place of fear and control.
Bro, the first book, I talked about this with, who was that? Cosign, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Once you unlearn your behavior, because especially as a child, you don't know what's right and wrong. You grew up doing the same things that your parents did, and now you're wondering why the same things are happening to you.
Repeating itself. Or, you avoid the things that your parents were afraid of you doing to only making the same mistakes, or realizing that those mistakes, like, you like, damn, your parents were like, well, don't do it this way. And then later on you realize, damn, I could have done it that way anyway, and I would have been good. But out of fear, you end up making mistakes. Now, let's go biblically with that. Bible says, God says, the Father says, I didn't give you fear. I gave you love, power, and a sound mind. And then I read another book that's Outwitting the Devil, and basically Napoleon Hill was having an interview with the devil, and basically asked a question. And he said, where's your power come from? He says, my power comes from fear. So here's the joke. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? So if my parents raised me in fear, the church is preaching in fear, and everybody's trying to control me, that means for 40 years, I had been programmed to live in fear. From society to social media, everything's congregated around fear. Think about it. You don't want to go outside. You don't want to go out. The shootings, like, because if you watch the media, it throws bad news. It keeps you in bad news consistently.
I have not watched the news in years.
I can't do it. I don't even do it.
I never forget when I moved to LA. It's like, you don't watch the news. For what? It's depressing. Every time you watch the news, I guarantee you right now, somebody got shot, somebody found a dog somewhere, something caught on fire.
But add a joke. Someone also got saved.
Ooh.
Someone also got healed.
But they don't talk about that.
But why? Because if I keep you in fear, I keep you controlled.
Wow. And it's so funny, man. I never forget, Steve Harvey said this. The biggest dream killers are your parents.
Let's go to that.
Moving to LA, anytime you say that phrase, the first thing people always say is, how are you gonna do
make it?
this, and why are you gonna do this? How you like? Because they can't see, and I tell people all the time. Once God gives you a vision, that's your vision. The Steve Jobs documentary with Ashton Kutcher, I forgot which one it was. I watched that. He got told no how many times, and then he was like, look, the computer is this big. I want it to be this big. And they said it can't be done. He found the people that can do what they did best, brought them all together to make it happen. He had the vision, but they said that it couldn't be done, but he did it.
Yeah.
Fear stops so many people, man. It's like, bro, it's crazy.
Fear and poverty are the two main things that the devil uses. And his allies aren't demons. See, that's what I'm saying. It's all programmed. So when you think of demons and you think of like, you get all these pictures in your head. Like I say a demon, there's a picture in your head. I say angels, you got a picture in your head. Where are these pictures coming from? We don't know what angels look like. We don't know what demons look like. But we've been programmed to think about things to look like what they are. If I say the devil, you have an image in your head. And they asked in the interview,
I'm gonna think of something on planet Earth that I done seen.
They asked him and said, "What?" He said, "So what do you look like?" And the devil responded, "Whatever you want me to look like." Because he is fear. So if I'm afraid, he says, "I'm not no red horn thing with a monster with a red tail. I don't have a body.
Wow.
I exist in your imagination." So understand, let's go back to the phrase. I didn't give you the spirit of fear, but I gave you power, love, and a sound mind. That's what God said.
Yeah.
And then the devil says, I function and have my being in fear. There's your answer right there.
Message.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's talk about fear for a second. Well, who's your allies? And that's what I said, the demons and all the people screaming around, those aren't allies. The people who do the best PR for fear, parents, because they raise you in fear.
Yep.
They don't raise you in courage. Like my son's 2 years old. I know the things that I see him do that my fear kicks in. Woo. And I have to be like,
I'm going to get there in a minute, so don't talk about him too much
yet. You know what I'm saying? So I know what that is as a parent. So there's fear that way, but there's also fear of embarrassment. Our parents don't want us to embarrass them because of all the people that they are claiming they got.
So don't go out there and do this because what if this happens?
But you're going to make me look bad. You're going to make me look like I didn't raise you well. Right. You didn't go make it look like you didn't come from. So that's
because you've educated yourself on something that they're unfamiliar with, so they can't see what you see. It's like real estate. Yo, H, let me get a loan for $300,000. I'm gonna go buy this property that's over here. If you don't know nothing about real estate,
why would you invest it?
Why would you invest? Crazy. And what people don't realize with smart people, you give so many excuses that don't even make sense when you can just say, I am unfamiliar with that space. But people that are not grounded can't speak or they can't talk that way.
No, you can't. They can't.
Wow.
So parents, teachers, always trying to they teach you in fear.
They only making $30,000 a year. Why they go tell you to go do this?
They're never going to tell you to go be an entrepreneur.
Why? Go get security.
That's why they tell you one way to read a book, one way to do something, one way to mathematically get somewhere. Yeah. Right? And then when you start figuring things out, then you become a genius. You know what I'm saying? That's where genius comes from because they can't figure it out. Yeah. Because they're also controlled. You're the genius. Right?
Bars.
But the third part, the third ally, right? Says parents, teachers, churches.
Yeah.
The pulpit has been, and it's changing now, but the pulpit has been a place where we have preached more about the devil than the goodness and the kingdom of God. We've preached so much more about, even when the prayer, Father, we rebuke and bind. It's just like, yo, you're rebuking and binding things that have nothing to do with the devil. Like I remember Miles Monroe told me a story one day and it made me laugh, and he's my mentor, rest in peace, Miles. And he said, one day he was walking the street and he saw the devil hunched up cold on the pavement crying. He was like, yo, what's up? He's like, man, I'm tired of them blaming me. He said, blaming me for what? It's like, not everything I do. Sometimes it's their own damn self.
Facts.
Sometimes they're the ones making the decisions to do it.
The devil made me do it.
I can't be everywhere at the same time. So a lot of the time, we are blaming others or blaming things that really is our own problem.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I'll be like, it's been times where I've been like, the devil. I was like, no, bro, that's
me.
you.
Right, that's you.
That's you.
Wow.
The devil might have helped put something in the space for you to go look at what you're doing or do what you're doing, but evidently you chose to do it because you was given an option.
Facts.
And the fact is, free will is the most dangerous thing man could have ever get given.
So light things up a bit, speaking about free will and just people's actions, man. I know that when success hits people, sometimes people change. What has kept you humble in those moments? Because I know, when some people get successful, like, they feel they can talk to you this type of way. I can treat you like this. I can do that. I can do this. Like, it's just, it's their world and you're living in it and they forget how they got there. They forget what they had to lean on. What's kept you humble along the way?
Number one, my relationship with God and just having one with with God always keeps me humble because you have to remember there's someone bigger than you at all times. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm still human, so my ego does kick in. Like if you come in there and try and punk me, I'll be like, nigga, you know who that is? Like, so don't like I don't want to sit here like I'm humble, like oh no, I'm no, far from like
don't disrespect me.
But what I haven't allowed is my success to make me forget you're human. And make me forget that human beings, the same human beings that we look down upon might be the same human beings we have to look up at. So, because I was one of those human beings, I got looked down upon by multiple people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nigga, you ain't. Yeah, I mean, and even the ones that knew, who could see the light, could see the talent, could see the gift, they wanted to step on it. Especially where the neighborhood I came from, it was like, they wanted to step on like you ain't. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna make it out here. Da, da, da. And then, so when I became successful in human form, I always promised myself to show respect and love to those who are on their way up. Because the amount of niggas that's had to look up at me that were above me before, I laugh all the time like, dang, ain't that a motherfucker? But in repayment, I think it's more painful for me to show love to those people that look down on me as they looking up, instead of going at them like, yeah, remember me, nigga, when you had to? No, I just show love because as angry as I was, I'm here now, so I got to take responsibility of where I am now. And as much as I can rub my foot in your head and make you kiss the ring,
you just gonna keep shining by yourself, and they gonna see it.
I'm gonna try to help you. I'm gonna try to bless you.
I've done it before.
I'm gonna try because I know that that's gonna be more painful.
Yeah, bro.
Than me rubbing it in your face because you're like, see, I knew you was no. See, I'm gonna do it differently. And next time when you come up, your excuse is because you might come up. It's another thing we have to remember.
Facts.
The rules don't work for you differently from me.
Yeah.
Right? We could all come out and go up together, and I may fall, and you may keep going. And then one day, I'm back up there with you. Right?
Yep.
And you may fall. Like, we don't know what happens tomorrow. You can wake up tomorrow and you disabled. Can't move your legs. It's a wrap. Now all your money's being spent on fixing your legs and surviving. So my point to you is, we're all human. Respect it. That's it. Bible says again, love yourself and love your brother as you love yourself. So I would be a complete dickhead if I shat on the people coming up, right? For me to fall and like, of course, but you never know, I may come right back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's how God worked. God's always worked that way. The other people we've looked at, Kanye West is one of the primary examples of falling and standing and falling and standing and falling.
Yeah.
Do you know how confused we are? That's when I really knew you couldn't trust human beings. Because the same human beings that was like, Kanye crazy, I told you that nigga, da-da-da, I'm disappointed, da-da-da. The moment he said Jesus is king, everybody's like, Kanye and Jesus, I'm going to all his concerts. And then he wore another hat. It's like, see, I told you that nigga. It's like, nigga, which one?
Yeah.
It actually shows more of how weak we are. Forget
Facts.
Kanye.
Yeah.
It shows how weak we're only moved by performance. When he performs well, we love him. When he doesn't, we hate him. Same with basketball. LeBron's the greatest. Then when he loses, see, I told you that nigga ain't gonna make it.
And for them same people, would you say that to your child?
No.
Your son goes to school and he messes up. It's just not in the public. Why he doing that? Why he say that? What your son say to that kid in high school last week that he just got suspended for?
There you go.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I really dislike, I try not to say the word hate. Dislike when people look at the public figures and how we move, not knowing that the same cheating people, the same this and that is the same people that's watching, commenting, and posting when Jay Shetty makes something or somebody makes some inspirational quote. Yeah. They're posting it, but they're not living it.
Nope. This whole thing's a hoax.
Oh, I know.
And what we gotta go back to, and I can only talk for myself. I don't know about anybody. What I got to go back to is my authentic self.
Yeah.
Right? And my authentic self is just being honest to who I am. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm a man. Like, I've done nigga shit. Yeah. And I've done fucked up shit. And I've done stuff I'm not proud of. And I've done things that I'm like, damn. And I've done things that shamed me. Mm-hmm. And I've done things that's embarrassed me. But I've also loved a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've also helped a lot of people.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? And I've also blessed a lot of people.
Facts.
So at the same time, you know, having that balance between good and evil and just trusting God, like, God loves me regardless.
Facts.
God cares about me regardless.
Whew.
I'm going to be okay regardless. Allows you to know, like, I never used to take my mistakes as lessons. I used to take my mistakes as failures. Like, if I failed, if I made a mistake, I failed. Mm-hmm. Right? And then God was like, your mistakes, that's your journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your winnings, like, how many times you win and you go back to that win? You can't. But you can always go back to the journey. You, like, once you've won, it's done. LeBron ain't never getting that 5th ring back. It's over.
It's over.
He can only continue to turn to the next ring, which means he has to go through a whole nother friggin' journey.
Wow.
That's what we respect.
That win, yo, I never forget. I did an interview when I first started with Christian Keys.
Yeah.
And he was doing, it was the Wiz in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And I say, yo, I really started. I'm like, yo, how you feel, man? Like, you coming out, man? You got ladies going crazy. You on stage. And he said, bro, it feels good to be working. Till this day, that was 9 years ago. That stuck with me because I'm in it now. I was starting then. It feels good to be working. What you see on TV, great. Congratulations. That job's done. I'm on to the next. That was the #1 hit. I need another one.
And that's my point. You're never satisfied, right? So what you do cherish though is, damn, you know, when I was making that record, I remember being in the studio and I only had $2 for chicken wings. And I remember I only had a bottle of water I had to share with my boy. And I remember holding my boy's hand and we was praying. We're always writing this song. And then, you know, she was in the booth and she was cutting the song. And, you know, now it's #1. All I said was now it's #1. That was the one success part. It's the only thing we talked about.
Wow.
But the whole story was about the struggle, the mistake, the pain, the issues. And that's why no one loves an artist that didn't go through nothing. Nobody loves a story that doesn't show anything. Watch all the stories, the greatest movies ever, from Pretty Woman to
wow.
Like, it's a love stories to Love and Basketball. The struggle, the pain, the hurt.
Speaking of the struggle and pain and hurt, when was the either recently now or back then, when was the last time you cried?
Ooh.
And what led to that moment?
Man, I cried a couple days ago. Yeah, crying is good. I never used to know that. I used to think crying was weak. Crying is strength. Like, I cried. It's actually funny because meditation does that. Whenever I meditate, if I meditate deep enough, I will cry. Because you start to feel God's glory on a different level. It has nothing to do with success. It's to know like, damn, I'm not alone. I'm in this room, but I'm not alone. There's something greater, bigger, stronger than I will ever experience that is surrounding me right now. Right? And it's almost like a child sitting in your arms. Like, and I remember having that experience and just being like in tears that this spirit loves me that much that it's gonna spend this moment with me in this moment. You know what I mean? That's deep. It's deep. But when you can shut the noise off and get that quiet,
Silence speaks louder than the noise you can actually hear.
let me tell you how deep it is. You can leave the room.
And your presence can still be there.
I've left the room. I've left my bedroom so many times without leaving my house, without leaving my room. Just from silencing myself to a point and getting so deep into meditation that I'm no longer, like I no longer feel, I can't feel or see anything. I'm just no longer in the room.
You're grounded.
Like it's deep. And when you're in that space, you're no longer on earth. Like you're here, but you're no longer on earth. You're not having an earthly experience.
If y'all listening, he ain't even on shrooms. He ain't talking about being high.
I don't smoke.
That's
But
incredible.
it takes a lot. It takes a lot of deep letting go, a lot of deep breathing, and one of the things is a lot of forgiveness. If you can't forgive, you can't get deeper, because those things are like layers of they're like roadblocks.
Tell me about a time when you had to forgive yourself to move forward.
Ooh. Man. I had to forgive myself to move forward. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. That's deep. There's so many times I've had to do that. That's a great question. You probably slapped me around my neck, right? Okay. This is before I'm supposed to move to. I was engaged. I was getting married. We'd been together for a few years and loved her dearly. And we broke up. We ended up breaking up. And in the time we broke up, I got the opportunity to move to Los Angeles. I got discovered. And my heart tie was so wrapped up in feeling guilty that my life was about to change. And I was leaving her behind. And even though God had designed it that we weren't going to go together, there was this guilt. And I felt like, you know what I'm saying? And there was word that, you know what I mean, he just left and y'all been together for so long. And it was painful. And it was very painful. And I knew, for a very long time, I struggled to sleep because that guilt would always reoccur itself. And that's what I'm saying. That's the way the devil will get you, right? Because it wasn't even from her. It was from my own self. And it was from my own fear and my own codependency of wanting to keep everybody happy and make sure everybody was good and please everybody and wanting to be validated from everybody. So now I've got this plague and it's growing like a cancer in my mind, and now I'm uncomfortable. And I remember having to let go and just say, whatever it is, God is with you. And let it go. And I remember calling her like, yo, just forgive me for whatever. And she was like, no, we good. I always forget. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. So then I had to forgive myself because I done wasted all this time.
Wow.
Holding on to a situation that didn't really exist.
Whew.
You know what I mean? Another time was my dad. I had to forgive my dad. So I had to ask for forgiveness from my dad, even though he was the one that I needed to forgive. That was the hardest thing. And I remember, so growing up, my dad was, like I said, disciplinarian, very hard, and we fought a lot, and it was painful. And there was physical abuse. It was tough. You know what I mean? And I remember, my school teacher was like, "You can't go home. This is wrong." Da, da, da. It's like, because he fucked me up in front of my teacher. And she was like, "Damn, this type of being you got on?" I was like, "Nigga, stop calling my pop." Then, dumbass. I'm trying to tell y'all, this is like, it's
torture right now.
Yeah, I mean, my pop, and kudos to my pop. He's an amazing man and a man of God, and has prays hours and hours for me and his kids, and he's never left the house. He's always been there, and I'm proud of him because he could have walked away so many times. But he also suffered some things that he grew up culturally and mentally and emotionally as a black man. I saw some abusive things that he experienced. But anyway, for 7 years, I ain't talked to my dad.
Wow.
I hated him dearly because, one, I didn't like that he didn't support my music. But also, I hated the fact that he was so aggressive and so abusive and so just angry all the time, right? And then I realized that when I started to go do digging after I forgave him, that it wasn't just him. It was things layered in his life from his history, from his father. I say that to say one day I'm in church and I'm praying, and the conversation is about forgiving dads. And I was like,
wow,
hell no, I'm not doing that. Because I had made it at this point. Like, I'm successful at this point. Like, I'm like, I went from the hoopty to my first Benz. Like, I'm in LA.
Yeah.
Killing at this point. And I remember God telling me, I can't give you what I have for you next if you don't let go of this thing that's inside of you, which was not forgiving my dad. So we have this, you have a real moment. I come out, I pray, we cried. Pastor's holding me for like 30 minutes in church. During service, I'm crying, breaking down, like I'm screaming, like I didn't know all this pain was inside. And so humbly, about a week after or two, I'm thinking it's over. Like, all right, cool. I've forgiven him, keep pushing. Like, let's get on with it.
Forgiveness is everything. I feel like there was still pain in my heart, right? So God tells me I gotta call my dad. Yep. I was literally about to say that.
Right? But this is where he messed me up. He said, call your dad and ask for forgiveness. I'm like, no, hell no. He's the one that was beating me up. He's the one that got mad. He's the one that kicked me out the house. He's the one that, like, no. Like, I made it. I proved the point. I'm who I am now. He got to come. I'll call him, but he got to say certain. God was like, see, that's the problem. You're so angry, you think it's owed to you. And then he said this. He said, true humility and true forgiveness is you seeing what you did wrong. And I was like, now I'm in tears. I'm in the car in tears. And he was like, you see, you did wrong too. He said, you held anger against him. You thought the negative things about him. You projected it to other people, told people about your father being this and that and this and that, when all he wanted to do is put a roof over your head and cover you and take care of you. Yeah, he didn't know his way, but don't be blinded by your own anger, because that's the way the devil kills you.
And everything that you mentioned was everything that's not of God. So
it was a double-edged sword. It was killing two birds with one stone. So it's like, if you really want him to forgive you, ask for forgiveness first. So I remember calling my dad, and I was like, this is hearing my dad's voice for the first time in 7 years. And him saying, hey, son. I was like, please forgive me. And my pop started crying. Like, I ain't never heard my pop cry like that before. Like, it was one of the most, like, emotional moments of my life. And we cried too, you know what I mean? And it was like, it was deep. And I thank God for that day, because asking my dad for forgiveness set me free. For real. And my dad forgave me too. And I forgave him, he forgave us. And to be honest, it was like, we were all forgiving each other anyway. Like, it was like, what are we even mad at anyway? And it was painful, but it was the biggest relief that I've ever had. And my career went to a whole nother level. Like, my life went to a whole nother level. Like, I achieved some things that I don't think I've ever you know, when I tell people like, oh yeah, I work with Janet Jackson, you know, it's like, who? Like, when? You know what I mean? Like, that's not normal from where I came from, where I'm from in London. Like, I come from a small little village over there. You know what I mean? So for me, it was deep. And that's one of the most humbling moments of my life.
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
Wow, that just hit.
Yeah.
I'm like still soaking it in, and it's like, being honest, I had an issue with my dad for a while. My dad messed up my credit. The first time I wanted to go get a credit card, to get a loan, to get a car, I went to the bank and they said, you got these 2 phone lines under your name. It was like T-Mobile or something. It was just a small bill, and I was just like, I'm with Sprint. I ain't never had no T-Mobile or Voice Stream back in the day. And then I didn't know what, and at what 16, I don't know what credit looks like. I'm learning. I just know that there's something on there. I'm like, how do I find this out? So I did the research. It was my dad, and I didn't talk to him. Like, at that moment, I called him like, yo, you opened up 2 phone lines in my name and didn't pay the bill?
Damn.
He was like, yeah. Like, but I'm younger, I'm smarter now, and I'm just like, yo, why?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? And he was like, I'm gonna get it all taken care of. He did. But from that moment, I just felt like I couldn't trust him.
Yeah.
And for so long, I didn't talk to my dad. But I'm gonna tell you something that's different about my pops is that my entire career, so I'm my mom's only child.
Yeah.
And my dad has some other kids as well. But my entire career, my dad has never missed an important day.
Amazing.
Every graduation, when I came to St. Louis and I made it on American Ninja Warrior,
Yeah.
he was there. When I hosted on BET, I think he came out. No matter what, if I had an accomplishment in life,
That man was there.
my dad was here.
It's amazing.
Yeah. When I broke my ankle after testing on this other show, Ultimate Tag, my dad came out here.
That's a
Made
good
sure I
dad.
was good.
That's a good dad.
And it's like, I think I thought about those things when I wanted to hate him. It's like, bro, I'm trying to get ahead in life. Finally 16, let me put some credit. Everybody else is doing it. And I can't do that because of what you did. And it has to live on there. And the fact that you can't just take care of it now is like, I'm heated. So for years, but I'm like, when I think about my other brothers and whatnot, whatever issues they have with him, but for me, it's like, damn, he was always there.
That's God. Well, you have to remember, like I said, being a father, being a parent, being human isn't perfection.
And nobody has this, there's no guideline to life.
There isn't.
Like, this is how you live your life.
I'm still figuring it out. You know what I mean? It don't matter how much money I got in the bank and how many cars I drive. Some days I got it figured out.
Yeah.
Some days I don't. I think I'm just grateful that I have something that I can run to.
Yeah.
You know, go to, walk with, and use as a guiding tool. And if you really do pay attention, God and the universe will guide you.
Speaking of that, staying here but going back a little bit.
Yeah, sir.
The Bible speaks and says that he will make your enemy your what? Your footstool. How many
Footstools do I have?
Yeah.
See,
How many people's stools, like how many steps of other people have you just, climbed upon?
Let me explain about the footstool. Like, that's a great analogy when God says it. He'll make your enemies your footstool. It doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna walk over the people who did you wrong. It just means they're gonna have to watch you succeed.
Yeah. Ooh.
And that's painful enough.
Wow.
That's all it means. It doesn't mean, so it means this. A person who didn't like you or had an issue with you, or let's say was ahead of you and now you're ahead of them, is gonna be in their homes privately losing their fucking minds that you exist. You couldn't get more footstool than that.
And when you know it on the other side, it's just
right. So why, to sit down and like, yeah, I'm gonna put my foot on, like that in itself, God, you're now taking God's, thing and making it your thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because your job is to love your brother as you would love yourself. So you can't want to put your foot on him. he is going through what he's going through or she's going through because that's what they've had to go through because of their own heart. But you shouldn't desire it.
Absolutely.
And that's the purest part of it. Like anytime someone does me wrong, and anytime I've gone off this, like anytime someone disrespected me and I'm about to be like, I'm about to show you, I might show them, but it always turns bad for me. Because the heart posture around is wrong. Like revenge ain't sweet.
Revenge ain't sweet.
It just comes right back.
Wow.
Like it just comes right back. Because what you're doing is, you know, karma, if you want to say. It's like, I cheated on you because you cheated on me. Karma. But the next relationship you're going to go in is going to just come back because it's just repeating itself. So how about you just not do it, let them do it, and forgive them for what they did because he forgiving you for what you did.
For you not know what you do.
Right, because we say, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, right? So when are you going to forgive if you're getting revenge? When do you forgive? If you just working on revenge, then you never forgive, which means he can't forgive you, which means karma comes right back at you. Wow. So you just got to let it go.
Facts.
You know what I mean? I'm like, listen, Corey, I've been disrespected in front of people so many times, and he looking at me like, bruh. And I'm like, bruh, and I have to, and I get mad, and I'm human, and my flesh kicks in, but my response, forgive me.
That's why I'm so proud. I'm proud of Corey as well for how he's moving. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Yes. It's crazy
and
that
I keep telling him, just forgive it, just let it go.
Because what happens in life is that I feel with everyone watching this right now, when the other person just knows that they've wronged you, whatever that they've done in a relationship and business, don't even matter. When you know you can come with that fire and that heat and you got a reason to do it and you don't, it just makes you that much more stronger for your future.
More powerful.
You hold your own. Yeah. It's literally like you got 1 million guns right in front of you, and you there by yourself with one, and you choose not to shoot. You become more powerful. And the people that know the story that are watching, it confuses them.
Listen, and they live with that confusion. They gotta sleep with that confusion. They gotta eat with that confusion. You already moved on. You're on to your next.
And you can't. It's like, oh man, we're gonna get somewhere else. What? For a person that has wronged you so well, you already answered that question actually. And what's funny, I dated a girl once, and a guy that she was with talked about me so bad, knew nothing about me.
Yeah, of course.
Hated me, said all these things. He didn't even know that I had knew this. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I still call her, give him a job, cause that's gonna kill him even more.
And you gotta listen, and you have to remember, like he's only speaking of it from a place of hurt, anger, pride, ego, frustration, because something that was once his is no longer his, right? But you have to remember, she ain't yours neither.
Facts.
So you know what I mean? Yeah. So at the same time, we sometimes we're a little too entitled into, we latch onto things too hard, and we think things are ours, and we think the position and power, and we owe it. And the fact of the matter is, I've seen great men fall. And I've seen weak men become great. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen a nigga who was broke as shit, living in his mama's house, borrowing his mama's car, buying his first $1 million house.
Wow.
Right? You're looking at him.
Oh.
Right? And I've also seen niggas I wanted to be like. Guys that I wanted to walk like. They were wearing the sneakers, they had the clothes, they had the cars, they had the girls, and they in jail right now or in the grave. Wow. And some of them have come up to me and be like, yo man, we always knew you were special. We always knew you were gonna make it. So you can't really sit around like, you know what I mean? I ain't even mad if a person mad at me right now. It's just like, I get it. And then, I may have done something wrong. And if you either want to talk about it, you don't want to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, keep it pushing. Now, the only time, don't get in my face and try to harm me or do something, then we got a problem. But, and even at that point, it's going to have to take, you know what I mean? You got to get pushed to a certain point to get that bad.
Facts.
Right? your life isn't worth all of that. You know what I mean? Like, people shooting each other, killing each other, fighting each other over things that it's just like, hey, a conversation could solve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, so many people burying their kids because no one wanted to have a conversation. That pride, that ego, that fear, driving them. You know what I'm saying? If I ever see that nigga, that bitch, it's just like, yo, chill out.
Yeah.
What you fighting over ain't even worth $10. The nigga you fighting over ain't worth $10. The girl you begging over has bodies that you ain't even seen yet. So why are we so adamant to fight over this thing? Because we lack our relationship with God. And when you lack that relationship with God, you look for relationship elsewhere.
And one thing that you said about attachments earlier, it's so funny. I've been reading The Mastery Itself. I just finished that.
You said that, yeah.
Yeah. So inside of that book,
Mastery
someone said to me one day that,
Who wrote that book?
That's Don Miguel.
Okay.
Don Miguel.
Okay, Don Miguel.
So in that book, someone said this to me one day, and I've never heard it. And she said, Rich, you need to learn to love without attachment. And when she said that to me, it hit.
Let me tell you why that's so deep.
Okay.
So once again, in my personal space, in my little prayer cove, and like where and when you say prayer cove, everyone's like, what you kneel and pray. No, it's just a room in which this is my closet, and I just stand in it, and then just don't dim the lights and just shut the fuck up and let someone talk to you. Like, you're like, God, please help me, please. And he's like, nigga, I'm trying to talk to you. I can't hear myself. You talk too much. But the conversation about loving without attachments is deep. And once again, if we go back to the church, and
It's unconditional love.
Right. If we go back to the church, and that's why my son was so important. But if you go back to the church and what they teach about love and sex and how they make it so convoluted and they don't give you a healthy understanding of it, we end up looking for it. Right? So here's what I'm saying. When God says in the Bible, I told you don't have sex till your marriage, wasn't because I don't want you to have sex. I created it. It's a beautiful thing. Look what happens when you procreate. A child is born, right? Things happen. I told you don't have sex to save you. Because when you have toxic relationships and you share yourselves with each other, you are attached to them. So something that should have ended sooner than later, you can't end because you're attached. Right? And if we were taught that he was trying to save us and keep us, and we had more of an understanding like, oh, you're trying to keep me from harm, not trying to restrict me from having fun. Because that's how the church teaches. Like, don't have sex because you're going to go hell if you did.
Yeah.
And you got all this. So, and nigga, the kids be like, I'm definitely going to have sex because I'm trying to see what this be like. Like, you be so mad, you so scared. That, you know what I mean? Don't touch the fire. My son go touch fire. You don't touch fire. That's what I'm going to see. Because they don't break down the understanding. If you have a child and you be like, hey, son, don't go to the fire. It's hot. If you go there, you're going to burn yourself. And somewhat even let him close enough to be like.
Just to feel it.
What, do you think he's gonna go there? He be like, hot, right? But if you don't go to the fire and you just show fear the whole time, his whole mind is like, I don't know what that'd be like.
Facts.
So when I got that inclination, like, yo, damn, I've dated without having sex and separated from the relationship, and it was fine. There was no it was an easy breakup. Wasn't like we didn't care, but it was an easier breakup because there wasn't other emotions attached to it.
Wow.
Right? You just like, hey, cool, it didn't work out, my bad, or whatever. But when you're involved sexually, it's harder. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much intimacy in it. And 9 times out of 10, you're still intimate after you break up anyway. And then you go through that whole thing. So what are we doing? What are we at? Where are we at? What we doing? So now you got all this stuff. And like, you're talking to a person who's been through it. Like, I've been through it. And God has broken it down to me. Like, see, if you maybe not had to cross that line there, you might be able to have gotten out of this healthily. Right? Without having to figure yourself out and figure someone else that's hurt.
Yo, I'm gonna be honest.
If y'all want a part 2 of me and Harmony, I need y'all to comment below. I need y'all to start dropping the Jews right now. And I'm gonna be honest, dog. Yo, we about to go in, and I feel like fatherhood is the topic.
We should do that.
Yo, y'all want to see fatherhood with me and Harmony? Yo, y'all need to comment below.
I love fatherhood. It's
Let's
a
go.
beautiful thing.
Tag it. Before I end this, because I got a segment for you that we got to get into, but I got to ask you one question. What are 5 ways that you've been living in harmony?
Whew. Forgiving. That's one. Forgiveness, loving, no matter what. Worship, that's another way. And worship isn't singing to yourself. Worship is just allowing God to be in the room with you.
Bars.
Right?
Yeah. All right. My guy, this next segment is called Burning Questions.
Okay, burn away.
Yeah, burning questions, man. So you got to answer this. So I don't know what's in here because you don't drink, right?
Told you that.
I just wanted to make sure. Because I know what you got, and we got to talk about that too. But I'm going to ask you some questions, and you can answer the question, or if not, you can, let's see.
Take a shot.
Let's see.
Oh, Lord. They're trying to make me eat.
So it looked like you eating something. I don't know what this is.
Me.
Man, you smell it?
What the hell is all that?
What is that? All right.
That's the question.
Yo, so if y'all watch it, I gotta ask the background what this is. Corey, what is this?
Well, I didn't have time to make it. So, Steph, what is this?
Sesame seed oil on a iced lemon cake. Oh my gosh. Alrighty then.
The smell is strong.
Wow. Yo, bro, like I ain't never smelled something so. Wow.
That sesame seed oil is strong as shit.
Wow.
She said, I'm gonna put
Oh,
this
wow. Yeah. Okay, all good. Thank you for that. Wow. Okay. Well, burning question number 1. What was the last lie you told?
Can't do that.
Time to eat.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. The last lie I told someone was I was gonna be somewhere in 10 minutes and I was an hour.
I'm weak. That was weak. Yo, I don't like you for that one. I need a good lie.
That's a lie.
Hey, a lie is a lie.
You trying to get filth? You trying to get dirt from me?
I'm trying to get there. All right, burning question number 2.
Okay.
Who was the last person you sent nudes to? He said, I'm going for the cake.
I'm getting for the cake. It's gonna be disgusting, but I'd rather not. I hate y'all. Should have known. You know, ask me crazy ass questions.
How it taste? Oh my God. Burning question number 3.
I hope my ass don't burn.
Ooh, wow, everybody keeps saying that. Corey gonna be messing people up out here. That's all Corey's doing. Burning question number 3. What are 3 adult guilty pleasures you have that no one knows about?
Guilty pleasures. Ooh.
Concentrate.
I do like walking in my bathroom. I like walking in my bedroom naked. I do. As soon as I get home, I'm naked. I'm just like.
Copy that.
I walk around my house naked. I like what I see. I'm good.
Okay.
Another guilty pleasure.
Concentrate. 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 Concentrate.
Phone sex.
Let's go phone
That's
sex.
That's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Okay.
I'm like,
I'm with that.
what you doing right now?
What you doing right now? Send me something.
What's another one?
Concentrate.
Yo, that smell is foul.
Brother, I'm not eating another one. That's why I'm thinking of another one quick.
He said, I'm getting this out.
What's another one? Guilty pleasure. I said walking around naked, huh?
Yep.
Damn.
Phone sex.
I do like doing that. I'm gonna say it, and I don't give a fuck anyway. I like picking my damn nose.
Guilty pleasure.
picking your damn nose.
No one ain't there, and I got one of them funny buggers on the corner. I'm like, who? Ain't nobody looking.
Yo, I ain't mad at that.
I'm getting that motherfucker.
You know what? Since that was 3 questions and that's all we got, I'm gonna put this top back on.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yo, bro.
I answered.
Yeah, you all right? You need some water?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I got you some water.
It was the nudes. I said, I can't respond to this. This is crazy. Oh, Jesus. I can't.
Oh my
I
God.
don't even know what to say. It's like my ex, my. I can't. You said nudes here? No, I didn't.
Yo, my guy.
Yes, sir.
How did you enjoy today, man?
Man, it's probably one of the best ones I've been on.
Really?
So, yeah, I had a lot of fun, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for having real conversation. Because a lot of time, you know, people want to just talk about the career and success and how you made money and da-da-da-da-da and ball out. But thank you for having real conversation, man. You really made me tap into my brain and think about my emotions again. You know what I mean? And my feelings. I came here thinking I was going to be like, all right, let's talk about the career. And,
Yeah.
you know, all the artists I work with. But now we talked about me. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem, my guy. Let's get it.
We're talking all things entertainment.
Laura.